year by year. To anybody who has family connections to UCC, and especially to casualties of the First World War from UCC, and a special welcome. As Hugh just says, 1:05. So we'll declare a start. Thank you very much for coming along. We will open with some poetry read by Mr. Bill Murphy, local historian and member of the university community.
I'll be reading a poem on Flanders Fields by Lieutenant Colonel John McRae, who wrote this while he was wounded in hospital in Essex Farm, and died later of his wounds. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely sing, fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. Take up your quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw the torch, be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
Cork Memory Lane Group will now perform a number of songs.
We just do a couple of choruses of very popular songs of the era. 2 songs. We'd love to hear you all joining in, please.
Roses are flowering
the organising committee will sing Cork War Song if you're out hand.
This song is based on a bunch of interviews where I was interviewing for a book there way back in the late 80s, and I was talking about the middle parts about streets and characters, but there was an awful lot of the elderly people started talking about their loved ones who they lost in the war. So I kind of stitched all the various words together, and I came up with this, and it's called I Wish I Was in Pana, a Cork War Song. And all what you're going to hear is based on facts.
No, Rock Choir and singing a number of songs.
It's great to be here, everyone. We're starting off with Keep the Home Forest Burning, going into Moonlight Fade, and then we're doing Easy. So feel free to join in. Keep the home fires burning while your hearts are yearning. Though your loves are far away, they dream of home. There's a silver lining through the dark clouds shining. Turn the dark clouds inside out till the boys come home. We were sailing along on Moonlight Bay. We could hear the voices ringing. They seemed to say, "You have stolen our heart. Now don't go away." As we sang those old sweet songs on Moonlight Bay,
We were sailing along.
sailing through the moonlight, sailing on the bay, the voices ringing, they seem to say,
You have stolen our heart.
"You have stolen our heart. Now don't go away." As we sang those old sweet songs on Moonlight Bay, as we sang those old sweet songs on Moonlight Bay. Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer too. I'm half crazy, all for the love of you. It won't be a stylish marriage. I can't afford a carriage, but you look sweet upon the seat of a bicycle built for two. Henry, Henry, this is my answer too. I'm not crazy over the loves of you. If you can't afford a carriage, forget about the marriage. I won't be jammed, I won't be cramped on a bicycle built for two. Everybody. Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer too. I'm half crazy, all for the love of you. We live and the fall is over, get married in the clover. But you look sweet upon the seat of a bicycle built for two. But you look sweet upon the seat of a bicycle built for two.
German poem by Mr. Howard.
The interesting thing about this poem by Kurt Tucholsky is that it's taken from the standpoint of the dead. And the recurring word that you find in the poem is why. Warum? Why? And Tucholsky was one of the great German writers and poets of the 20th century. And if you find this poem interesting from the point of view of war, then certainly start Googling German Jewish war poetry of World War I, and you'll find some fascinating stuff there of how they saw the whole thing and the whole misery of war. So this, as you can see, is the prayer after the slaughter from the point of view of the dead. Gebet nach dem Schlachten. Kopf ab zum Gebet. Herr Gott, wir alten vermoderten Knochen sind aus den Kalkgräbern noch einmal hervorgekrochen. Wir treten zum Beten vor dich und bleiben nicht stumm und fragen dich, Gott, warum? Warum haben wir unser rotes Herzblut dahingegeben? Bei unserem Kaiser blieben alle 6 am Leben. Wir haben einmal geglaubt, wir waren schön dumm. Uns haben sie besoffen gemacht. Warum? Einer hat noch 6 Monate im Lazarett geschrien. Erst das Dörrgemüse und 2 Stabsärzte erledigten ihn. Einer wurde blind und nahm heimlich Opium. 3 von uns haben zusammen nur einen Arm. Warum? Wir haben Glauben, Krieg, Leben und alles verloren. Uns trieben sie hinein wie im Kino die Gladiatoren. Wir hatten das allerbeste Publikum. Das starb nicht mit. Warum? Warum? Herrgott, wenn du wirklich der bist, als den wir dich lernten, steig herunter von deinem Himmel, dem Besternten. Fahr hernieder oder schicke deinen Sohn. Reiß ab die Fahnen, die Helme, die Ordensdekoration. Verkünde den Staaten der Erde, wie wir gelitten. Wie uns Hunger, Läuse, Schrapnels und Lügen den Leib zerschnitten. Feldprediger haben uns in deinem Namen zu Grabe getragen. Erkläre, dass sie gelogen haben. Lässt du dir das sagen? Jag uns zurück in unsere Gräber, aber antworte zuvor. Soweit wir das noch können, knien wir vor dir, aber leih uns dein Ohr. Wenn unser Sterben nicht völlig sinnlos war, verhüte wie 1914 ein Jahr. Sage es den Menschen, treib sie zur Desertion. Wir stehen vor dir, ein Totenbataillon. Dies blieb uns, zu dir kommen und beten, weggetreten.
Thank you very much, Kevin. We're due now to be joined by Marina Enke, Department of German. Marina, thank you very much. Marina will be reading a poem by Coach Adler. It's in German and the translation is provided in your programs.
Betrachten von Kurt Adler. Ganz lauernd stehen wir auf hohem Berg und sehen Deutschland links und Frankreich rechts. Und überall ist großes, stilles Land mit weichen Wäldern und verblinkten Dörfern. Tief eingegraben sind wir wie die Tiere, die Beute bergen. Der Geschütze blau-schwarze Mäuler glotzen stumpf und stier. So ahnungslos ist aller Dinge Schein, dass erst der runde, dumpfe Schall von drüben uns bitter denken lässt, dass wir Zerstörer sind. Hoch hebt sich ein Gefühl von jener Liebe, von dem stillen Lied, dem Sonntagmorgen und Sebastian Bach. Ein Augenblick und schon ist alles grau. 5 Männer rennen wild um ein Geschütz. Ich denke lächelnd der Begeisterung der Morgenblätter, die wir nicht mehr lesen.
Thank you, Marina, and thank you to the Department of German for suggesting Marina read that poem. Now we have joined by 6 undergraduate students from the Department of Italian who will sing an Italian song of the First World War. By the way, they only started learning Italian for the first time this year, most of them. So we're very grateful that they're doing this for us.
This song belongs to the anti-militarist tradition, and it is based on the Battle of Gorizia, which took place between the 9th and 10th of August 1916, and it claimed the lives of thousands of soldiers and officers, both on the Italian and Austrian sides. So the song was written to commemorate it.
La mattina del 5 di agosto si muovevano le truppe italiane per Gorizia, le terre lontane, e dolente ognuno si partì. Sotto l'acqua che cadeva al rovescio, camminavano le palle nemiche, su quei monti, colline, gran valli, si moriva dicendo così: O Gorizia, tu sei maledetta, per ogni cuore che sente coscienza, dolerosa ci fu la partenza, e il ritorno per molti non fu. Ubriachi che voi ve ne state, con le mogli sui letti di lana, schieratori di noi carne umana, questa guerra ci insegna a unire. Voi chiamate il campo d'onore, questa terra di latte i confini, qui si muore gridando assassini, maledetti sarete un dì. Cara moglie che tu non mi senti, raccomando ai compagni vicini di tenermi, racconto i bambini, che io muoio col suo nome nel cuore. O Gorizia, tu sei maledetta, per ogni cuore che sente coscienza, dolerosa ci fu la partenza, e il ritorno per tutti non fu.
Thank you very much for that. They're Grace, Aisha, Shauna, Leilon, Orla and Molly from the Department of Italian. Thank you to the Department of Italian for their support. So we're moving on now to the middle section, which we call Reflections. John Ware, a historian who's teaching a night course in Ireland's, on Ireland's Great War at the moment, will speak on the theme of reflections.
Years ago, in the library, when I should have been studying something else entirely, I came across some of the old regimental histories. These were large books, somewhat battered, but still holding together after nearly 70 years on the shelves because so few people had handled them. The Connacht Rangers were there, if I remember, and the Munster Fusiliers, and since then the library has acquired some very handsome volumes on some of the other regiments. But I've discovered that the history of one regiment is pretty much the same as that of another. They were all written in the 20s, each by some retired lieutenant colonel late of this regiment, who was most likely having a stab at literature for the first time. The First World War figures largely because it was so fresh in the memory, and this makes the books useful for anyone interested in Ireland's involvement in the war. But I can't really recommend them. Unless you delight in this sort of thing, with all their records of sporting achievements in the Indian garrisons of long ago, they make for dull reading. And indeed, it was many years before I got around to tackling them myself. When I did, what I came away with was not so much a sense of history. Those old colonels weren't really writing history, but of community, tradition, family almost. A man may have joined the army, but he served in the regiment and partook of all that was familial and tribal therein, all those peculiarities so jealously treasured in an otherwise uniform world. The stories told in these books were never really meant to appeal to outsiders. But I did come across one episode that anyone might find moving, and that came at the end, when the family was dissolved and the traditions ended. On the creation of the Irish state, most of the Irish units of the British Army were disbanded. On that day, soon after the end of the war, when the King addressed the Irish regiments for the last time, he spoke of being moved by feelings of no ordinary sorrow. He spoke of great memories and great traditions. He thanked them for their service and told them that the fame of your great work can never die. But they're all largely forgotten now. The great memories are faded, the great traditions are long abandoned. But I first read the King's heartfelt words in the history of the Royal Munster Fusiliers, and I felt that at least in that sad and splendid address, the King had done handsomely by the Fusiliers in the end. I later discovered, though, that he had said pretty much the same thing to the Connacht Rangers and to the Dublins and to the Royal Irish Regiment, with just a few of the details altered. It's not that I'm trying to disparage the King's feelings of no ordinary sorrow, it's just that in those bleak years in the wake of the armistice, I suppose the remembrance business already had its hands full. Ireland's dead in the war numbered in the tens of thousands, and Ireland's contribution to the war in manpower can be counted in the hundreds of thousands. They came from all walks of life, including the universities. But when I recently was given a look at the college's war records, I was at first dismayed to see so few of the Irish regiments represented there. Out of the hundreds of names listed of UCC alumni who had served in the war, not even 24 of them had served as fusiliers or riflemen or rangers. The college did not, it seems, produce regimental officers. But what it did produce, and in the greatest profusion, were medics. Considerably more than half of all the names listed are followed by the initials of the Indian Medical Service or by one of the various ranks of Royal Navy Surgeon or, and this most commonly by far, by the letters RAMC, the Royal Army Medical Corps. I say I was dismayed because I've spent so much time late down on Q-1 with the Irish infantry regiments, and as is natural, I formed an affection of sorts for them. So I almost thought it somehow disloyal of the alumni of a century ago to choose to serve elsewhere than in the units formed from their own counties, as if they were somehow contributing to the historical oblivion of these regiments. But of course, the medicos were there at the front with the rest of the Irish soldiers. As battalion medical officers, they wore the badges of the medical corps, but counted themselves as part of the regiment. And in the regimental aid posts, in the advanced dressing stations and the casualty clearing stations and the base hospitals, there they were, to tend the men with the harps and the shamrocks on their badges. And on reflection, I think it is better for us all, that the contribution of this college to the war should be the healing hand rather than the finger on the trigger. And in UCC's war record, coming close after all those medical officers and surgeons, there are the fair number of Royal Engineers whose work, although hardly humanitarian, was rarely in itself death-dealing. And I think UCC can be a little proud of that too. The work of army engineers is an essential element of warfaring, and if that makes our consciences uneasy, at least we can console ourselves that in this, as in the case of all the medics, the professional expertise of our alumni was being suitably employed. Now, whatever the various treaties made out, this was a war that brought little in the way of victory or peace. Across Europe, so many of those who came home did so to revolutions and civil wars and partitions, not least in what was still briefly the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. The world had changed. What did king and country mean now? What was the reward of loyalty, and to what or to whom was loyalty owed? For those regimental soldiers who had returned to civil life, it must have been a further disorientation, an additional wrench to see their regiments, those once dependable institutions, dissolved. A man joins the army, but he serves in a regiment. He joins for a cause, but he fights for his comrades, and the symbols enshrining that comradeship were to disappear. The Army Medical Corps and the engineers were not so entwined in the tribal traditions of the fighting arms, and the soldiers returning from the Medical Corps and the engineers had their professions. They had applied their skills in the aid posts and sick berths, in the trenches and field works, but they had learned them in the lecture theatres, and now they can be practiced in time of peace, as intended. War consumes, it does not produce, nor do armies produce, nor soldiers, but universities do, and it was the college, and not the Army Medical Corps, or the Royal Engineers, or indeed any of the line regiments, which produced those productive citizens who inherited the Ireland of the 1920s. Now, speaking as a student of history, I had no intention of coming here to sing the praises of the medical and engineering faculties, but I can't deny that their worth to this college was far greater than that of, say, an officer training corps, or that their contribution to the greater community was so immeasurably better than that of a host of infantrymen. Little has been done to preserve the memories of the great deeds and great traditions of Ireland's regiments in British service. As the King promised, the colours of the regiments are still preserved in Windsor Castle, but they're a dry memorial to a dead tradition. The war is a long time over, but long after the departure of the Crown's forces and the dissolution of Ireland's traditional old military communities, UCC is still producing its doctors and its engineers, and even its historians, who can study and remember. We have our own traditions. We are our own community. The regiments are gone, and for their lasting memorial, there are only those few books in the library. The old army is gone, but the college is still here. Thank you.
And now we'll move to name those members of the university community who died during the First World War. So, Mr. Greenworthy and step up, ladies of the Department Battalion, and anyone who wishes to join us. Fianna McAuliffe, who is editing the new edition of the UCC War Record, current in production. Marlena, would you like to step up? No? If you wish.
This is the roll call of members of the university who were casualties in World War I. Donald Mahoney Larry, Lieutenant, Royal Army Medical Corps. Francis Joseph Began, Lieutenant, Royal Munster Fusiliers. Frederick Albert Capps, Fleet Surgeon, Royal Navy. Richard Crofts, Major, Royal Army Medical Corps.
George Albert Dinan, Lieutenant, Royal Munster Fusiliers. Wilfred C.S. Dixon, Civil Surgeon, Royal Army Medical Corps. George Ernest Evans, Lieutenant, Royal Munster Fusiliers. James Farrell McDermott, Ship Surgeon, Lusitania.
Thomas Joseph Fennelly, Captain of the Royal Army Medical Corps. Alexander Boyd Foot, Captain of the Royal Army Medical Corps. William Henry Fowler, in Canadian Infantry. John Francis Cullen, Second Lieutenant, Royal Munster Fusiliers.
Thomas James Golding, Captain Royal Army Medical Corps, Bartholomew J. Griffin, PTE Royal Irish Dragoon Guards, Charles Stanley L. Harrington, Lieutenant Park Rangers, Professor Edgar H. Harper, Lieutenant Staffordshire Regiment. James Johnson Harty, Lieutenant Royal Army Medical Corps. John Corney Hawkes, Lieutenant Royal Army Medical Corps. Charles James Holmes, Lieutenant Royal Army Medical Corps. Charles W. Jack, Gunner, Royal Garrison Artillery.
John Ambrose Q. Fleet Sergeant, Royal Navy. Vincent F. McNamara, 2nd Lieutenant, Royal Engineers. Charles Henry Nash, Lieutenant, Royal Army Medical Corps. George R. Naylor, Lieutenant, Royal Army Medical Corps.
Thomas Kevin O'Brien, Captain Connacht Rangers. William Robert O'Keefe, Captain Royal Army Medical Corps. John O'Leary, Major Indian Medical Service. Sidney Edward Punt, Surgeon, Royal Navy. Percy Brewster Ridge, Captain, Royal Army Medical Corps. Patrick Joseph Roach, Lieutenant, King George's Army Sappers and Miners. Patrick John Walsh, Lieutenant, Indian Medical Service. Edward Coakley Ward, Fleet Surgeon, Royal Navy. Michael J. Whitty, Lieutenant Colonel, Royal Army Medical Corps.
If you will now speak for 1 minute on the Cummins family, who were closely connected with UCC.
Michael asked me to say a few words on Iris Ashley Cummins and the Minor Cummins family today. And as John Ware mentioned, there was a plethora of medics and engineers contributed to the war from University College Cork. Iris Ashley Cummins, born in 1894 in Glanmire, County Cork, was the second woman to graduate in engineering from the college in 1915. She was also the first woman admitted to the Institution of Civil Engineers in Ireland. During the First World War, she worked as an overlooker in Woolwich Munitions Factory, London, Vickers Factory at Erith, Kent, and worked in the Admiralty Department at Holborn Dockyard. She received an honorary Bachelor of Science degree in 1918 for war services, but one cannot mention Iris without mentioning her wider family, a prominent medical and military family from Cork. Daughter of Professor of Medicine at the college, William Edward Ashley Cummins and Jane Constable Hall, Iris had 10 siblings. 2 of her brothers were doctors and UCC graduates, Lieutenant Robert Constable and Nicholas Marshall Cummins, who served in the Royal Army Medical Corps. Nicholas received the Military Cross in 1918 for organising stretchers and bringing the wounded to safety. Her other 4 brothers included Colonel Arthur Aylmer Cummins of the Royal Artillery, William Ashley Cummins of the Oxford and Buckinghamshire Light Infantry, Lieutenant Harry Jackson Cummins of the 5th Gurkha Rifles of the Indian Army, who was killed in action at Gallipoli in 1915, aged 27, and Captain Fenton King Cummins of the 6th Battalion of the Connacht Rangers. Her 4 sisters included UCC graduates Mary Ellis Thorne Cummins, later Dr. Mary Hearn, the first female fellow of the Royal College of Physicians in 1924, Dr. Jane Grace Evans Freak Cummins, Phyllis Aylmer Cummins, a scientist working at the Metallurgy Atomic Research Station in England, and Geraldine Dorothy Cummins, an Irish spiritualist, medium and writer. Iris's uncles included Queen's College Cork graduates who served in the RMC during the First World War, Major Henry Alfred Cummins, who was recalled to active service list, Brevet Colonel Stephenson Lyle Cummins, who served in the British Expeditionary Force in France, and Major Arthur Gordon Cummins, who served in the British-led Egyptian Army. The Cummins family contributed much to the First World War.
Thank you, Fiona. Now, from our colleague will play Lament. This is the closing event of the day. Sir John A. Murphy will sing Salonica.
Well, I'm going to talk about Salonica as well. So, the first time it has been subjected to scholarly analysis. And if the frog in my throat stays quiet for the next few minutes, sorry about that. What has made Salonica such a popular song is that it is blackly humorous verses and it's a catchy tune as well. It dates from maybe 1917, 1918, because the reference to Sinn Féin as indicating a new kid on the block, so to speak, would date it to that period. Now, it's not an anti-war song entirely, but it's an anti-establishment song. It's a song of the working class, or the workless class maybe, who go to pawnbrokers, who act irresponsibly towards women, who have to walk around asking the returned soldiers for a couple of bob, but at least they have two legs. The song makes that sardonically clear. And it's not even a nationalist song. When the Sinn Féin boy is mentioned in the end, it really is because, in a kind of semi-amorous context, because I think if women didn't compose Salonica, they certainly had a large input into it. And in the last verse, put your eye on the Sinn Féin boy, he's coming to the fore after the 1916 rising. But the songwriter was not particularly interested in the politics of this. And by the way, the phrase, the Sinn Féin boy with his yellow, white and green, I've heard modern singers saying orange, white and green. But of course that's historically a mistake. In fact, there are quite a number of Irish songs where the modern day singer improves the song to reflect his own views and takes the song totally out of context. We are on the one road, maybe the wrong road. We're together now, who cares? It has been popularity with the Wolf Tones and so on. And they sing Dublin, Belfast, Cork and Donegal. Of course, the song was originally written as a World War II emergency song. It was Dublin, Galway, Cork and Donegal, because it was a morale song from the army of the Twin Six Counties. So United Ireland doesn't go into it. At any rate, I was mentioning, of course, that the great exponent of this song is Jimmy Crowley, the strings of whose guitar I am not fit to pluck. Me husband's in Salonica, he rode for a couple of bob. I wonder, do he know he have the son with the foxy head? So right away, so right away, so right away, Salonica, right away, me soldier boy. They tax the Coliseum and they tax St. Mary's Hall. Why don't they tax the bobbies with their backs against the wall? So right away, so right away, so right away, Salonica, right away, me soldier boy. They taxed upon the butter and they taxed the halfpenny bun. And still with all their taxes they can't bake the bloody hun. So right away, so right away, so right away, Salonica, right away, me soldier boy. And when the war is over, what will the slackers do? They'll be hanging around the soldiers for the load of a bob or two. So right away, so right away, so right away, Salonica, right away, me soldier boy. And when the war is over, what will the soldiers do? They'll be walking around with a leg and a half, while the slackers they'll have two. So right away, so right away, so right away, Salonica, right away, me soldier boy. And when the war is over, what will the women do? For every kid in America in Cork, there will be two. So right away, so right away, so right away, Salonica, right away, me soldier boy. For they takes us out to Blarney, and they lays us on the grass. and they puts us in the family way and leaves us on our ass so right away, so right away, so right away, Salonica, right away, me soldier boy. Now never marry a soldier, a sailor or marine, but put your eye on the Sinn Féin boy in his yellow, white and green, so right away, so right away, so right away, Salonica, right away, me soldier boy.
Aileen Delaney will do Once We Tell You.
Oh, when I was a young man, I carried my pack, and I'd feel the free life of a rover. From the Murray Green Basin to the dusty outback, I waltzed my Matilda all over. Then in 1915, my country said, son, it's time to stop rambling, there was work to be done. So they gave me a tin hat, and they gave me a gun, and they sent me away to the war. And the band played Waltzing Matilda as the ship pulled away from the quay, and amid all the tears, flag waving and cheers, we sailed off for Gallipoli. Oh, how I remember that terrible day when the blood stained the sand and the water, and how in that hell that they call Suvla Bay, we were butchered like lambs at the slaughter. Oh, Johnny Turkey was ready, oh, he primed himself well. He rained us with bullets, then he showered us with shell, and in 5 minutes flat, we were all blown to hell. Nearly blew us back home to Australia. And the band played Waltzing Matilda as we stopped to bury our slain. And we buried ours, then the Turks buried theirs, and it started all over again. Now those who were living just try to survive in this mad world of blood, death and fire. And for 10 weary weeks I kept myself alive, while around me the corpses piled higher. Then a big Turkish shell knocked me arse overhead, and when I awoke in my hospital bed, saw what it had done, how I wished I were dead. Never knew there were worse things than dying. So no more I'll go waltzing Matilda, all around the green bush far and near, for to hump tent and pegs, a man needs both legs. No more waltzing Matilda for me. They collected the crippled, the wounded, the maimed, and they shipped us back home to Australia. The armless, the legless, the blind, the insane, those proud wounded heroes of Suvla. And as the ship pulled into Circular Quay, I looked at the place where my legs used to be, and thank God there was no one there waiting for me, to grieve or to mourn or to pity. And the band played Waltzing Matilda as they carried us down the gangway, but nobody cheered They just stood there and stared, and then turned all their faces away. So now every April I sit on my porch and I watch the parade pass before me. I see my old comrades, how proudly they march, reliving their dreams of past glory. I see those old men, all tired, stiff and sore, those weary old heroes of a forgotten war. And the young people ask, what are they marching for? And I ask myself the same question. And the band play Waltzing Matilda, and the old men still answer the call. But year after year, their numbers get fewer. Someday no one will march there at all.
This is a little piece that you're all very familiar with. It's the Green Fields of France, or otherwise known as No Man's Land. Do they beat the drums slowly? Do they play the fife lowly? Do they sound the dead march as they lowered you down? Do the pipes play the last post and chorus? And did the band play the flowers of the forest? Well, how do you do, young Willie McBride? Do you mind if I sit here down by your graveside and rest for a while in the warm summer sun? I've been walking all day and I'm nearly done. I see by your graveside you were only 19 when you joined the great falling in 1915. Well, I hope you died well, and I hope you died clean. Oh, young Willie McBride, was it slow and obscene? Did you leave e'er a wife or a sweetheart behind? In some faithful heart is your memory enshrined. And though you died back in 1915, in some faithful heart you're forever 19. Or are you a stranger without even a name, enshrined forever behind a glass frame, in an old photograph, torn, battered and stained, and fading to yellow in a brown leather frame? But here in this graveyard is still no man's land. The countless white crosses stand mute in the stand, to man's blind indifference to his fellow man, to a whole generation that were butchered and damned. Well, Willie McBride, I can't help wonder why. Do those that lie here know why did they die? And do they believe when they answer to the call? Do they really believe that this war would end wars? Well, the sorrow, the suffering, the glory, the pain, the killing, the dying, was all done in vain. For young Willie McBride, it all happened again, and again, and again, and again. Do they beat the drums slowly? Do they play the pipes slowly? Do they sound the dead march as they lowered you down? And do they play the last post and chorus? And do the pipes play the flowers of the forest?
Thank you, Joe. So, the last choral piece, okay, is Silent Night, which was 1915 by Connell, sung by Cork Choir.
Right.
Councillor Brian Birmingham will now read the Lawrence Pinion poem for the fallen, 1914.
They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor do the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
That's just about the end of this year's World War I Commemorative Concert. Thank you all very much for coming along. I'd like to thank all the performers, Cork Rock Choir, Cork Memory Group, William Hammond, Richard Cook, Billy Murphy, Stephen Bartoli, Aileen Delaney, Joan Goggin, our students from the Department of Italian and Marina from the Department of German, and everybody who made today possible. Thank you all very much. Mr. Finbar Foley will play such. Sorry, I should also have mentioned Mr. John Boyer, of course, who gave the address, and Professor John Amos, the University historian, who sang Salonica. So. Anybody would like to join us for teens goings in the common room, just hang on a second.